We're now recording the session. Quickly mark your attendance. So, as I was telling you, both the poets, they were basically living in asylum in the other country that they have shifted off to. Robert Browning had shifted to Italy. The purpose was that he had, married a lady naming Anne Browning. At the moment, although I rechecked all my information last night, but right now her name skips my mind. Anne Browning, we will call her because that was her name after marriage. Robert Browning had, they had eloped, they had run away from home and gotten married to each other. And because the girl's family did not like this idea, especially her father did not like the idea of his child eloping with a man. Uh, they were both scared for their life. See, even today in our country, if a boy and a girl, they run away from home to get married, obviously both the families of the boy and the girl, they get super angry. It's absolutely normal that the parents' reaction in such a scenario. So back in those days, same was the case in the West as well. The way we have, they had norms. Even today, they've got norms. But for the sake of their lives, for the things to pipe down, they both moved away to Italy. And they lived over there for a very long time. And during that time, Browning wrote a lot of poetry, a lot of literature, out of which this particular poem that we're going to read today is important because it shows his longing for his homeland. Because that sense of he feels that Italy is, although it has been a long time that they are living in Italy, although Italy is providing protection to him and his beloved, yet it is in England that his heart actually belongs to. So, again, the theme of belonging comes in our poetry. All right. Whereas, on the other hand, the Jalalaji you see poetry that you will read is again about how war has destroyed his beautiful country, Palestine, and how he longs to go back to his motherland and enjoy the beauties and enjoy the fruits of his country. Remember that a country is like a mother to anybody. Not only are you, signified, not only it signifies your nationality, but also it holds your identity. It lets people know where you come from. And once you're back home, once you're back in your country, it feels like just like you come back home and your mother gives you a tight, warm hug, and you feel peace, engulfing you. Similarly, once you are back in your homeland, in your motherland, in your own country, that sense of peace, that sense of warmth, it just melts over you. So that is what we will notice, how people long to go back to their motherlands. Okay, people have marked their attendance. Sweetheart, can you please क्या कर रही हैं आप? आज कुछ नहीं हो सकता. अच्छा जी. Another thing, the poem that we are about to read first by Robert Browning, it does not have a clear rhyme scheme. At times he uses rhyming couplets. Rhyming couplets are when two lines end with the same rhyme. We call it rhyming couplet. Okay? And both are one on top of the other. We will call it a rhyming couplet. Sophia, what are you doing? Can you just close it and put it back? You're making me angry now. Just place it back over there, Bache. Can you please sit down? I have a class to teach. Close the door. No, just close the door. I am just getting up. Just a minute. अभी ना बड़ी शदीद वाली
पढ़ने वाली है. What was that about?
The teacher's gonna be her kid.
I just scolded her. I
I
just
don't
gave her a
think
piece of
that
my
she's
mind.
that
Okay.
type of parent.
So you will notice that there are rhyming couplets. Rhyming couplets are two consecutive lines with the same last rhyming word. And then you have the interlocking? No, there's another word for the second rhyme scheme. See, this little chap over here in my room, she has just made me forget everything. Okay, if you notice, you have England and England, there and unaware. So your rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B. And over here in the next two lines, sheaf and leaf, bow and now. Sheaf and leaf, they rhyme together. So this is a rhyming couplet. This is a rhyming couplet. And bow and now rhyme together. So this is also a rhyming couplet. Oh my, rhyming couplet. Couplet. Such a horrid handwriting. Okay? Whereas over here, your rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B, and suddenly it goes C, C, D, D. Okay, do you get the idea of the rhyme scheme?
Yes, ma'am.
Acha, one more thing. There is no, if you read the poem according to what you call it, the rhyming, the poem will not make any sense. So your poem will be read based on the punctuation marks that you have. Okay? Based on the punctuation, your poem will be read. What I can do is I can first make you listen to someone who is reciting it. So you'll get an idea of how the poem will be read. And then I will read through and explain wherever necessary. चलिए भाई क्या हो गया I've absolutely forgotten which video I wanted to show you. I think it was this
Home
one.
Thoughts from Abroad
Can you hear
by
it?
Robert Browning.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Loud and clear?
Oh,
Yep.
Okay.
to be in England.
It's pretty quiet.
Just wait a
Whoever
little.
wakes in England sees some morning unaware.
Wait, I'll start it again. And I'll make sure. Where do you share the audio? Share sound, yes. Wait.
Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning.
That's good.
Oh, to be in England, now that April's there, and whoever wakes in England sees, some morning, unaware, that the lowest boughs and the brushwood sheaf round the elm tree bole are in tiny leaf, while the chaffinch sings on the orchard bough in England now. And after April, when May follows, and the whitethroat builds, and all the swallows, hark! Where my blossomed pear tree in the hedge leans to the field and scatters on the clover blossoms and dewdrops at the bent spray's edge. That's the wise thrush. He sings each song twice over, lest you should think he never could recapture the first fine, careless rapture. And though the fields look rough with hoary dew, all will be gay when noontide wakes anew the buttercups, the little children's dower, far brighter than this gaudy melon flower.
Mute हुई हुई है.
Although the poem sounds very boring, I know, but thing is, if you have noticed the way the person recited, it shows melancholy. Melancholy is
Sadness.
sadness. Okay. Oh my. Melancholy.
That's not what you use a mouse for.
That's not the mouse, that's my pen. And how do we come to know
Pen?
that it's melancholy? It's the first word of the poem. When the poet says, oh, it shows that he is already feeling sad. Okay. Oh, to be in England now that April's there. He says that I long to be in England. What a lovely feeling it would be if I could be in England right now. Because what is the reason? Because April's there, because it is April season in England now. April is the season of
Spring.
spring. So the winter has gone and England is now experiencing spring. And obviously in spring, you must have noticed how the weather is like these days, how everything, what is happening these days to the plants and to the trees?
Blossoming.
Everything is blossoming. Very good.
Everything's coming back to summer.
Exactly, like the plants, they are rejuvenating. They are the earth is rebirthing. New plants are emerging. The seeds which were sowed at the end of winter, they are now beginning to bloom. They're now beginning to grow. So the poet longs to be in England in at this beautiful hour. And whoever wakes in England and whoever wakes up in England every morning, what do they get to see? Sees some morning unaware. He gets to see at certain mornings. Unaware over here means unconsciously or without prior knowledge. What does he get to see? That the lowest boughs mean branches, the lowest boughs and the brushwood shaft. Brushwood is a kind of a grass, and shaft is, or sheaf or shaft is the stalk of that grass. Okay, that the lowest boughs and the brushwood sheaf round the elm tree bole are in tiny leaf. That elm tree is a kind of a tree. Bole are, if you've seen the older a tree grows, its roots tend to come out of the ground in rounded forms. Have you ever noticed that?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's what bole is called. The rounded roots of an old tree which tend to protrude out of the ground. They're called bole. That now, what does one get to see once you wake up in England? Sometimes during the spring, that the lowest boughs, the branches towards the bottom of the tree, the brushwood shaft, the blades of the grass, and the boles of the elm tree, the rounded roots of the elm tree are in tiny leaf. All of them are now going to bear tiny leaves. That is, new leaves are now going to spring out on these three things. While the chaffinch sings on the orchard bough in England now. Chaffinch, as you just saw, is a kind of a bird which sings. Obviously, spring is the season when all the birds, they come alive, all the animals, they come alive. And it is the season of rebirth, season of living all over again. So you must have noticed how during the spring season, birds, they migrate from colder region back to their warmer homes or back to their original homes. Sorry, from warmer regions back to their homes, because now the warmer regions are going to start turning warm, and their original homes are going to start turning warm. So this is the time when birds might start migrating back to their homelands. So the birds, they have come back to England, the birds which originally belonged to England. The first one he talks about is chaffinch, which sings on the orchard bough. Orchard is any
Garden of fruits.
fruit bearing tree. Okay, any tree which will bear fruit. For example, apples, pears, citrus, lemons, cherries. These are going to be orchards. And bough again is the branch.
Branches.
Branches in England now. We're going to move to the next stanza. And after April, when May follows, that is, at the end of April, when May is going to start, and the whitethroat builds. Whitethroat is a bird, builds, that is, it's going to build its nest, and all the swallows, and along with it, all the other swallow birds are going to build their nests. That is in the month of May, the birds, they're going to start building these nests. And again, these two birds after chaffinch are the birds which originally belonged to England. Hark. Hark means stop, wait, listen. It is basically an exclamatory word. Hark, where my blossom-peared tree in the hedge leans to the field and scatters on the clover. Now, the important thing to notice in this line is the possessive pronoun my. Okay, the possessive pronoun my shows that the tree, the pear tree he is talking about belongs to the poet. He had planted that pear tree. Now he can imagine, hark, my blossomed pear tree, the pear tree which I had planted has now blossomed, will be blossoming once May will come. He's imagining all this, okay? In the hedge, that is, in the hedge which has been planted next to his home, leans to the field, and the pear tree, after it has blossomed, it is leaning over into the field. You see what a beautiful description he is giving. You can imagine everything in your mind. You can visualize everything. That he had planted a pear tree which now has a lot of blossoms on it, and because it's an old tree, it has been years that the tree has grown, and it is full of blossom. It is a huge tree with a huge foliage, and now it is leaning over towards the field, leans to the field and scatters on the clover. That once those blossoms, they start falling, they will scatter down on the ground above the clover. You must have seen around you, among the grass, there is a tiny plant which looks a bit like this. But this plant is called a clover. And clovers are very common in England, Scotland, and Ireland, to the extent that it is said that if anybody, normally you get to see these 3-leaved clovers, it is said that if you get to find a 4-leaved clover, which looks a lot like this, you're considered very lucky. And it is amongst, there is a tiny creature called the leprechaun, which tends to collect these 4 clovers, and he brings you some gold coins if you find a four-leaved clover. This was just an extra
बाद
information.
में ढूंढूंगी.
Am I correct, Shakar?
Myth.
Shakar, am I correct on this information?
Yes, you are.
Yes, okay. Since as a child, I was very much interested in such things, so I still remember. Now, leans to the field and scatters on the clover. That now, in May, once my tree, which is full of blossoms, will start, the blossoms will start falling. They're going to scatter on the field of clover, which will be on the ground. Blossoms and dewdrops. Again, scatter on the, like the what is going to scatter on the clover? The blossoms and the dewdrops. Dewdrops, you know, are the tiny water droplets which appear on the plants earlier on in the morning. At the bent spray's edge, that is, at the bent spray's edge means the bended portion of the tree. If you will touch it, the dewdrops are going to fall down in the form of a spray. Not only the dewdrops, but the blossoms will fall down. Have you ever shaken a tree full of flowers or full of autumn leaves?
Yes.
What a
I'm
lovely
not,
feeling
I'm
it
not
is.
strong enough to shake a fully grown tree.
Okay, but still you can shake a few branches and you will feel the droplets falling on you and the blossoms or the leaves falling on you. It's such a wonderful feeling, makes you feel
It's my favorite thing to do in autumn.
exactly. Try it in spring as well and you're going to enjoy that scene as well. That's the wise thrush. Now, at the bent spray's edge, what is like bent spray? Like now he's going to talk about the hedge. What is the hedge made of? That's the wise thrush. That is, the thrush is growing over there. Thrush is again a sort of a grass, weed grass. Thrush is another bird that we are talking about. He sings each song twice over. That is, he repeats his song. Lest you should think, lest is Old English, which means unless. Lest is an archaic word, which means archaic means old, a word from the Old English, which means unless. You should think he never could recapture the first fine, careless rapture. Do not think that it is because he could not sing well the first time, or that the reason why the bird is singing for the second time is not because he hasn't sung well the first time. Okay, recapture. Take like what do we do with the selfies these days? We take first selfie, we haven't captured it nicely. What will we do? We will recapture it, we will retake it. So and rapture on the other hand is the way you speak or the way you sing carelessly. Lest you should think he never could recapture the first fine careless rapture. That the first time he sang, he was singing carelessly, enjoying himself. And it was not because he is going to be alert. No, he wants to continue singing his song the second time. And though the fields look rough with hoary dew is heavy dew. How will the dew be heavy? How can dew be heavy?
With rain?
No, dew is basically, dew are the droplets that appear earlier on in the day. Since, Akshay, the important thing to understand is, unlike the spring in our country, spring in Britain is still a bit chillier.
It has a lot of wet things.
Exactly. It is not until midday that the sun starts to, give a little bit of warmth. And within 2 to 3 hours, the sun will once again start becoming colder. So the spring season in England, it is mostly nice and, comfortably cold. The way we have our winters over here in Islamabad. That is how you have the spring season in England. The weather that we have these days over here in our country, that's the kind of weather they have in summer over there. Am I right, Shakar?
There's only 4 weeks of summer, which is like,
Exactly.
and it's not even summer, it's just like 15 to 20 degrees.
Exactly. It is almost similar to the weather that we're having these days. They're
Yeah.
summer. So and their winter was a lot like our winter. Their spring is a lot like our winter, when you can sit in the sun for 2 to 3 hours and you will feel a little warmth, and that will be all. But the rest of the day you will have nice and cold.
I wouldn't know that bit because I'd just stay home all day.
Yes, okay. I'll bring the lesson to an end because we are running out of time. We will. Oh, what happened? Okay, so heavy dew over here mean that the dewdrops, they have frozen because of the cold, because of the chill in the air. And once the dew has frozen, obviously the grass is, the blades of the grass, they're going to become heavy and they're going to bend, isn't it so? Because and it would, the whole field will look rough. It'll give a look of roughness. And though the field looks rough with hoary dew, all will be gay when noontide wakes anew. This word is not used in the sense that we use it these days. This is
It means happy.
an old English word meaning happy. Okay, and when noontide, that is when midday. Again, this is the same idea that I just gave you, that it is only until midday, that is noon, that is 12 in the day, that the sun will be a little warm and the dewdrops, they're going to melt a little, wakes anew. And it is now, the warmth of the sun is going to wake up once again. What? The buttercups. Buttercups are purely English flowers, okay? What will happen? The warmth of the midday sun will spring back the buttercups. The buttercups are going to once again bloom. The little children's dower. And what does he call the buttercups? The gift of little children. Dower means gift. From the word dower, we have the word dowry, which we give to the bride once she is married off. So he is calling the buttercups the little children's gift. And again, buttercups are the flowers of England, which he associates himself to. Far brighter than this gaudy melon flower. He says that the buttercups are far brighter, far prettier, more astonishing, more prettier, lovely compared to this melon flower. Flowers that bloom on melons. And there's a word he has used over here, gaudy. What do you think gaudy means?
Proud.
Sorry?
Arrogant.
Arrogant? Can a flower be arrogant? I wore a gaudy dress to the wedding.
A dull.
Wrong.
No.
मैम इससे कुछ याद आ रहा है गॉडी इज अ पीकॉक लेकिन मतलब नहीं याद आ रहा
Gaudy is usually used in a positive connotation. Gaudy normally is used in a positive connotation, meaning very beautiful and very artistic. Okay? But over here, beautiful, wait. But this is the positive connotation of gaudy. On the other hand, over here, the poet is using it in the negative sense. You're not leaving, Sophia, you're not leaving the room. Over here, he is using it in the negative sense that the melon flower compared to the buttercups is absolutely dull. Okay? with that, we come to the end of our lesson. What I want you to do is, where is my camera? Why can't I see myself? Okay. What I want you to do is, if you can see on page number 173, you have these a list of vocabulary. I want you to go through it. And then on the bottom of the page, you have 4 questions. I want you to attempt all 4 of them. Very easy. If you think that you are stuck at any question, you can go through the the lesson that we just had, and you will find out the answers from our lesson, because I have identified almost all of the contents that are required for your question. Another thing.
व्हाट्सएप पे काम दिया इसको भी करना है?
Yes, yes, you have to, because that is something that I want you to inculcate in you guys, because you do not read. To develop your habit of reading, I want you guys to read that text that I've sent you on WhatsApp, and then summarize it in your own words, 70 to 80 words, and then all that work will be done in your notebook as well. Okay. These 4 questions go in your notebook, and that summary of the text goes in your notebook, along with the 6 or 7 words that I've given you over there for word meanings. Okay? ठीक हो गया? चलिए. Thank you so very much. Tomorrow we will do I Miss You Palestine, and then I'll try my best to focus more and more on grammar, and then I'll try to incorporate one comprehension test for you guys, based on your examination pattern. Okay, the thing that I'll give you for your exams. Okie dokie. Thank you so very much. Please make sure that you have marked your attendance before you leave. Please make sure that you mark your attendance before you leave.
Allah Hafiz, ma'am.
Allah Hafiz. Zainab and Salman, I'll be ending this session, and I'll start your session in a minute, okay?
Okay, ma'am.